Welcome to the Tipsy Exchange, where your hosts get tipsy and exchange ideas on a specific topic.
With a few sidebars and tangents, it all depends on the tipsiness level.
We'll kick off each episode with a toast.
Feel free to join us, but please drink responsibly.
I'm Berly.
I'm LA. Now let's get tipsy.
Hello, LA.
Hey, Berly.
On our last episode, we talked about the Stranger Things inspiring conspiracy theory called the Montauk Project and how it has roots in like World War II and the Cold War. Mm-hmm. But we have even more discussed today. We have even more to discuss today. Yikes. So let's go to it. I have a toast from Jonathan Byers to kick off today's episode. Nobody normal ever accomplished anything meaningful in this world. Cheers.
Cheers.
So, LA, I hear you have some abnormal people to tell me about. Took me a second to think of the word there.
What is normal? But yes. So I think, you talked about the Montauk Boys, and then I think these kind of were the predecessor to that kind of experiment going on. These two stories we're going to talk about.
Nice.
Perhaps, maybe. I don't know. But over in Russia in 1970, there was a little lady. I shouldn't call her a little lady.
She might have been a little lady.
There was a woman named Nina Kulagina. And she was a former member of the Red Army Tank Regiment in Leningrad, Russia. And she was now a housewife. Okay, you looked at me like I was like, did I get something wrong?
Oh, no, I had some indigestion.
Oh. And I
just trying to burp quietly. And I pulled it off, too.
You did? Well, you did that, so that's what made me think, like, oh, did I say something wrong?
No, I belched. Quietly. It was silent.
So she is, at this point in March of 1970, she's now just a housewife after being in the Red Tank Army. I didn't read into, like, how this all came about for her, but basically, in 1970, in March of 1970, on the 10th to be exact, they had her at this Ukhtomsky Military Institute because she claimed to have psychic powers, and so they wanted to, of course, test on her.
Was this when she was a housewife or when she was in the Red Tank Army?
It seems like after all that.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess, she was still a veteran and maybe still had ties or coworkers or whatever, but anyway. She claimed to have these psychic powers, so they sat her down in this room here at the institute. And I think this is very strange, and your whole boiling frog thing bothers me, and now this does too. But for some reason, instead of just testing her psychic abilities against this frog's heart, they chose to kill it and remove his heart and put it in a solution that would keep it beating for up to an hour, which, why don't we have that for people?
Right?
I mean, maybe we do, but I don't know. So anyway, scientists had her hooked up as well as the frog to electrodes or whatever.
Hang on. I just want to clarify something.
Yeah.
It's not my boiling frog thing. I'm not the one who came up with that. I know, but
you brought it up and like...
I just know about the analogy.
A few times and I'm like, once was enough for me.
I just know about the metaphor.
I know.
Of the analogy.
I know that. I'm sorry. There's a lot of frog talk in our talks, I guess,
Okay, back to the story.
So anyway, it was funny that they said in this article, what was this, on timeline.com, they said they hooked up the electrodes to the amphibian's tiny ticker.
Tiny ticker.
Little tiny ticker.
Little tiny ticker.
And they hooked it up to her too. And so she started to do her thing, and her heart rate increased dramatically. And it took 7 minutes for her to like mentally stop the frog's heart, but she did it. And it took her 20 minutes to prepare. So she, I guess, to get herself worked up to do it.
Yeah.
But then it just took her 7 minutes of mentally focusing on this little tiny ticker to stop it. But she did it. So then they were like, well, then maybe this is a fluke or whatever. Let's try something else. So then they hooked her up to one of the physicians decided like, okay, let's try me. And so they were both hooked up to EKG machines. And so she starts her thing. And within a couple of minutes, the people who were monitoring everything said that his heartbeat was beating at a dangerous rate. and the experiment was terminated right away.
Holy shit.
Now, it didn't say anything about her, how she was affected, like she was with a frog or whatever. But,
Right.
But yeah, so they were just, you know, like they still weren't convinced, but I mean, that was pretty legit.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
So
it's quite a coinkydink.
Exactly. And so the Americans got wind of it, of course.
Of course we did.
As we always do. We started extracting information from them. They started trying from us. So spy programs, like covert operations and all that. They used double agents, wiretaps, you know, secrets without revealing themselves, the spies.
I've heard of The Americans.
Oh my God, that was a good show. Did you?
I never watched it.
Oh,
no,
you didn't?
I never watched it. That's one of those shows that I've always had, like, on my list or whatever, but I've never actually started it.
I actually started it a long time ago, and I was like, oh, okay. But then I think last year or the year before, I started it over, and I really liked it.
I never watched it.
I wasn't crazy about the ending, though.
But no spoilers. I haven't seen it.
Yeah. No. So anyway, they all took risky methods to steal information from each other.
Yeah. As we do.
And they both...
You know why?
Why?
Because knowledge is power.
Exactly.
Oh!
So they were planning on trying to, like, destroy each other remotely, except, like, weaponry or whatever they could do, you know? So now this thought of psychic abilities could be psychic warfare. Let's just take them out with our minds.
Yeah.
So throughout the 1960s and 70s, the Soviets were constantly doing these experiments and whatnot, and they did them at the at the institute I mentioned with Nina, and now the University of Leningrad's Special Laboratory for Biocommunications Phenomena. And they claimed that the discovery of energy underlying ESP would be equivalent to the discovery of atomic energy.
Like the atomic bomb?
Yeah. It's a bit much.
I don't know, girl. I've seen, like, some sci-fi stuff where psychics do some crazy shit.
True.
I mean, they don't completely devastate nature and all the surroundings to make it uninhabitable, but, you know, still.
Well, in 1962, there was a routine sweep of the U.S. Embassy of Moscow, and the military discovered strange electromagnetic signals emanating from the 10th story apartment building across the street. And they determined that the signal, which was aimed at the upper floors of the embassy building, had been in use for over 6 years. And this was when the Pentagon began their own program.
So, like, it all started with Nina.
Yeah, basically.
Nina Kulagina.
It trickled down and just got, like, more in depth. Yeah.
Okay.
And they wanted to duplicate the effects of this Moscow signal, basically. And 8 years later, in response to the Kulagina tapes, they say, which they say that was only, like, one small example of her psychic power that had been
the heart
tested.
Stuff.
Yeah. But she had also been captured on film mentally moving matchsticks around a table and other things. And of course, somehow it fell into the U.S. hands.
No.
So they realized that methods of controlling or manipulating human behavior through subtle, non-identifiable means was their interest as parapsychology.
Okay.
And the American name for their study was ESP, which was, did I say that earlier?
No, I don't know what ESP stands for. I know the joke where in Mean Girls where she's like, it's like I have ESPN or something.
Oh my God, that's funny.
What's ESP?
Extrasensory perception and psychokinesis.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we had to get a little fancier name for ours too.
Psychokinesis is where you can, like, move shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what she was doing.
Like she was doing the matchsticks and everything.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So we, of course, went on and up until all these programs and things were going on, covert operations and blah, blah, blah. But they went into the 1980s and 1990s too. And in 1984, the CIA continued to take psychic research seriously. And they even added former CIA director Stansfield Turner. And he said that the people's skepticism about the CIA psychic project was healthy, but that research should keep pace with their skepticism. Which...
that makes sense.
I get that.
Yeah.
So, but Kulagina was suspected by musicians and other skeptics of, rigging or, doing some sort of tricks to make these things happen. But she sued for defamation in 1987 and was granted a partial victory. So good for her.
Yeah.
But in exposing her to the Soviet Union, it kind of just progressed into the world and other places to test out people like her, which led into our government. And during the Cold War, since after they had heard about all this business going on over in the Soviet Union, they decided to create another secret program called, as many people know, MK Ultra.
That's another one of those things that I've heard before, but I had no idea what it was.
Yeah. Well, there's a show. Was it Mindhunter?
Oh, Mindhunter is where it's about the psychology of serial killers.
I can't. There was another show I started that was similar. The vibe and the scenery and everything was very similar, but it was more based on this.
On MK Ultra?
Yeah. I can't remember what the name of it
Mindhunter was so good, though. I was so upset. That one and I Am Not Okay With This. Whenever Netflix canceled those shows, I was like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, my brother is a big Mindhunter fan, and he read an article with Josh, I guess, whatever his name is that plays the main character.
He was in The Matrix.
Yeah. He said something that he was on another show and somebody asked him what were the chances of them coming back to make another season. And I think he said that Mindhunter had a better chance than whatever his other show was.
Jonathan Groff.
Yes. Yeah. So
what's his other show?
I don't know. Was it Glee? No, not Glee.
Glee?
It was something else that he had been on.
Oh, he was in Glee.
Okay, then maybe that is it because that came to mind. So yeah, but I got excited when he told me that. I was like, oh, I'd be so excited if they did another season.
I want them to bring it back.
Yeah.
He was in Life and Beth. I don't remember him being in that.
Yeah.
If there's background noise, listeners, it's the air conditioner, and you just will have to forgive us because I'm not turning it off.
Yeah, we're in Texas. It's hot.
It's hot.
All right, so MK Ultra.
Yes.
It was the search for a mind. So we couldn't find somebody to control people's minds.
We didn't have a Nina Kulagina.
Yeah. So we wanted to search for a mind-controlled drug that we could weaponize against our enemies, of course. It started with Sidney Gottlieb in the early 60s, and he was a chemist. And he spent several years investing in the program and tried to say it was the most sustained search in history for techniques of mind control. And the bad part about it was that, it started back in with the Japanese and the Nazis kind of.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's where it kind of stemmed from, that they had heard about.
I heard there was crazy experiments, German scientists and all. They had the American Horror Story episode with the German scientists and all of that.
They basically experimented on them in the concentration camps. They gave them mescaline.
Oh my God.
All kinds of stuff. They thought that was going to be the key to mind control. And so it started and I think the Nazis somehow got it from the Japanese, who used to kind of do this to their prisoners and test on them. So that's kind of a little back history where it started. But Gottlieb, he wanted a way to create and seize control of people's minds. And so he realized that it was a two-part process.
Oh.
First, you want to blast away the existing mind.
Oh.
And second, you got to find a way to insert a new mind into that.
Oh my gosh, like Duncan.
Into that resulting void.
It's like Duncan from our last episode.
And we didn't get too far on number 2.
They blasted away people's mind, but not insert. Oh my God.
But he said they did a great job on number 1.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's so
terrible.
sad.
And I mean, it's not even, somebody somewhere probably has the count of how many people died during these times. But I mean, people died, and then other people, their lives were permanently destroyed from all of this,
So the Montauk boys who just had their memories wiped were lucky.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
But in the end, Gottlieb finally said that mind control was not possible. But they shut down MK Ultra, and he went on to the CIA to lead another program.
He went on to what?
He went on to lead another program with the CIA that created poisons and high-tech gadgets for spies' use.
Oh.
So he's a good guy. Real nice.
He's like the gadget guy in James Bond and stuff.
Yeah. But then also like a chemist.
But like kind of a crazy person who's murdered people.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, I wonder if he created the, what's the pill that you take to kill yourself so you don't get tortured?
Cyanide.
Yeah. Oh, no, I know he didn't do that. But anyway, sure they did that. That was probably in
He
some
did
of their
stuff probably
experiments.
like I've always seen, I think in Stranger Things as well, that they like say that they like used LSD
Oh, that's
or
what I was
whatever.
about to get to. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So a lot of the people that actually volunteered in quotes, quotations, for the experiments, they started taking LSD. And of course, that's, like a hallucinogenic. It's kind of like an upper,
Yeah.
So of course they found it pleasing to do, And a lot of the volunteers, unfortunately, were people incarcerated and just not in the best
Mental
of ways.
health.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, as we know, a lot of people, a lot of pop culture people did LSD. Ken Kesey was the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he was actually in one of the experiments with the CIA and MK Ultra.
oh my God. I didn't know that.
And then Robert Hunter, who was the lyricist for the Grateful Dead, did it. And then he went on to, be a great proponent of LSD culture. And then Allen Ginsberg also, I think he wrote about it, like an adventure on LSD and all that. So
Funny how all these fictional shows, like, will talk about the LSD experimentation, but not talk about the first experiment where they like ruined people's life and killed them.
Yeah. Well, the CIA brought LSD to America, and they thought, that was going to help us mind control, like whatever. But like the irony is they wound up actually like giving it to so many people that it like fueled the generation rebellion back in the 60s,
Right.
Everybody doing drugs and the whole
Everybody
culture.
open their minds, man.
So, and then Whitey Bulger, he was one of the people that was in it.
Whitey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Witty.
I don't know. We can go with Whitey. I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly.
Whitey. Whitey. Witty.
Whitey. I would think that's Whitey.
And I want to say, I thought he was like
Whitey!
Look him up, because I want to say he was in the mob or something too, but I could be getting that name wrong. But anyway, he was one of the prisoners that volunteered for it.
You said Whitey Bulger?
Yeah, Bulger.
Whitey Bulger.
Yeah. So he volunteered to be a part of the experiment.
Girl.
What?
Whitey could get it.
No.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Not the older pictures, but these younger pictures where he's in jail.
And was he an informant or something? I swear there's like a movie or something about him. Oh, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I want to say Johnny Depp played him or something, but I could be getting that wrong.
Let's see here. Let me get out of the pictures. Hang on.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'll say. So yeah, he was a prisoner that volunteered for it, and he was one that they wanted to. He had schizophrenia, and so they were trying to find a cure for that. And so they thought, let's give it to him every day, LSD every single day. And
Whitey had schizophrenia?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it messed him up. Like, he thought he was going insane. I don't know how he came down off of it or whatever, but he like was a big like anti-CIA, all these experiments. And he felt that even though he was in whatever he was in jail for his crime, he felt like that the crime that they had done to him was way worse.
It was way worse.
Because they basically just like ruined his mind.
So it does say he was an American organized crime boss and FBI informant.
Yes.
Who led the Winter Hill gang in the Winter Hill neighborhood of Somerville, Massachusetts. And the movie was Black Mass.
Yes. Yeah,
and it was Johnny Depp.
Yep.
And it also co-starred. That was my attempt at a drum roll. Mm-hmm. It wasn't very good. But Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, I don't remember him in it.
He played the baby brother.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to watch it again.
Okay, good. He had a terrible accent.
I don't have the worst memory in the world, so I did have that. So it's funny that it started with just this lady who'd been in the Red Tank Army.
Yep.
Just ended up being a housewife and said she had psychic abilities.
I'm like, who did she tell? Like, can you imagine just like having coffee with your friend and being like, by the way, I think I'm psychic. And then the next day somebody's like, knock, knock,
But
knock.
I bet just because she was a veteran, she had so many people that still were
and just it's
enlisted.
Russia.
Yeah.
Also.
So
I just imagine there's like hidden microphones everywhere in Russia.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it started with her, trickled down. America wanted to steal it. Of course, we wanted to twist on it, play with it.
We didn't have our
Drug
own,
our people.
so we tried to make our own.
Yeah. So that's like the very quick version of all of that. I mean, we could probably have an episode on her and on the MK Ultra, but
Well, that's what
I think that all kind of, to me, from reading it all, because that was like the 60s, 70s, and then when you were talking about the Montauk boys, it's like into the 80s.
Into the 80s, yeah.
So it seems like it all kind of fed into that, and then to Stranger Things.
Rah, like real life. Rah, rah. Yar. Real life, like inspired, probably. Because Montauk, like I said, there's not very many reliable things here. But, Nina Kulagina was a real person with real abilities. Like she won a court case for defamation or whatever it was. And MK Ultra, we know that's real.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Montauk is real, but I don't know.
I'm sure
seems a little out there.
I mean, who knows? It may have been some aspect of it that was just blown out of proportion,
Right.
Who knows?
Could have been.
Or it could have been just what they said.
It could have been exactly what they said with the whole.
I apologize.
With start the thing that like it's just like other conspiracy theories where it was like, which if you haven't listened to our last episode, listeners, this is what we're talking about, like where it's really believable until it gets to the point where it's like, what? And the whole Duncan with the 1943 version and the 1963 version.
I mean, I was with you up
and
until
the empty consciousness, and we take this consciousness and we uploaded it and uploaded it. It's like, what? That's where it kind of lost me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure what was going on anymore. But you know what they say.
What's that?
Stranger things have happened. Which actually brings us to the show now. So we're going to discuss Stranger Things, and that's going to include season 4, volumes 1 and 2, as well as theories for season 5. So you got a preemptive spoiler warning in our last episode. This is your official spoiler warning. If you're still here, it's on you.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on the show? On the season and everything?
Okay, well, so I didn't realize that I'd watched the second volume.
Yeah, I asked you, I was like, have you watched volume 2? And you're like, well, it hasn't released yet. And I was like, yes, it did. And you're like, oh, oops.
I liked it. I liked that Max was kind of a bigger part of it because I feel like she's just been such a like side character for most of it a lot of the time, except for when what happened to her brother or whatever. I feel like they all got good FaceTime. It just seemed like there was a lot going on between the 3 storylines with like them in California,
the Russia people,
Russia.
the California people.
Yeah. So it was a lot going on. And, but I mean, I liked it.
I really enjoyed it. I did get really sad because like they're all growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing now that, okay, they're in high school now. I always loved when little Lucas would have on like the camouflage bandana tied around his forehead. And I just it kind of hit me this season that I'm never going to get to see that again.
No.
And that made me a little sad because like Dustin, he still kind of looks like Dustin, and like Will still kind of looks like Will and whatever. But with Lucas, I was like, we're never going to get him tying the camouflage bandana around or like his high pitched scream that he would do when he'd get scared. I was like, we're never going to get. So Lucas being all grown, that one really hit me. I was like, oh, they're grown up.
Well, and Will, you think you'd get a different haircut? I mean, come on.
I kind of love that he still has the chili, or chili bowl. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah,
chili bowl haircut.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this season, though.
Yeah.
I really did. I know that season 3, it was a little weird with like the rats exploding and then the people getting mind flayed and them exploding to make the giant organ flesh weird mind flayer monster. It was a little weird, but of course it was adorable as well. I still loved it, but this season by far, like it exceeded my expectations.
I think the storyline, especially with what's his name, the white, the little orderly.
Oh, with
is it Henry?
Henry / Vecna / 1.
Yeah. Like that was, I liked that. I mean, you know.
Jamie Campbell Bower
Is he
killed it.
is he aging in reverse?
He looks amazing.
I was like, is that really him? He looks like he's a younger version of himself.
He looks amazing, but that was his voice, even as Vecna.
Yeah.
I assumed they were using some sort of technology, like, and then I saw a video of him in a booth recording the voice. I mean, they might have done a little something to it to make it have more, but it's basically him.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, holy shit. Like the voice work, he spent hours getting pieces put onto him to actually be in, like, it's not CGI. They did CGI to make the weird tendons move and everything that they did, but he actually wore that suit and he actually did the voice. And I was like, damn, amazing performance. So speaking of Vecna, what song would save you from Vecna?
Oh, that's such a good question. You should have prepared me for that one. I don't know.
You could probably put on almost anything Fleetwood Mac to save me.
Yeah.
Or Tori Amos.
Oh my God, I don't know.
Would probably save me. I need to know these things. What if it happens, LA? I need to know these things.
Nothing's going to save me.
That is a very pessimistic mindset to have.
Yeah. It's just
think
about
how
I'm feeling this week.
I'm going to ask you again before we wrap it up.
Okay, that's going to take a while.
So let's get into some nuts and bolts of some shit.
Okay.
First on the docket.
I mean, honestly, first off, I would say David Bowie Pressure, because that's like one of my all-time favorite
there
songs,
you go.
But I just don't know if that's the one.
Well, it would probably help. I mean, it doesn't have to necessarily even be the one. So here's the thing. So I restarted the series and watched it all.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Up at the beginning in like season 1. Remember how Will got lost in the Upside Down?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, but like we learn in season 1 that Will's favorite episode is that "Should I Stay or Should I Go Now" song.
What do you mean his favorite episode?
No, it's his favorite song.
Oh, okay.
We learned that in season 1.
Okay.
That's his favorite song. And he it shows him repeatedly either through like the walkie-talkie or actually showing him that he was singing that song quite a bit when he was stuck in the Upside Down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did that save him? Is that why he survived and Barb didn't?
You're probably right.
Because he kept singing. Like, did they tell us all the way back in season 1 that music was going to be important?
I think so. Yeah.
Who
seems like it?
Okay. So first on the docket here as we get into the nuts and bolts and stuff, because I know he's going to come up because he fucking has to. In the tradition of season 2's Bob the Brain, and season 3's Alexi, we have a new favorite character who was introduced to us, brought into our lives, given us enough time to fall in love with them, and then immediately ripped away from us. Fuck you, Duffer Brothers.
Yeah, I really would have liked to see his... Oh, sorry.
I am, of course, talking of Eddie Munson.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Eddie.
I was pretty bummed. I mean, I don't know. He was such a great character that I would have loved to have seen more from him in another season, you know?
100% agree. And Joseph Quinn is adorable.
Yeah.
I could not help but seeing, okay, well, first, he's British, which automatically makes him even sexier. But he reminds me of a young Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, I could see that. Definitely. Yeah. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, yeah.
And I haven't done enough research on this, but I'm curious now. Okay,
the eyes.
He's got the doe eyes, the smile, the little kind of mischievous smile that's so full of charm and just wonderful. But I haven't done any research to see if he has that butt though.
Oh my God.
That RDJ booty.
Oh my God.
Is famous.
Give him some time. He's still young.
He's still young. He can do some squats.
Yeah, exactly.
Do some lunges.
Yeah.
If they do an RDJ biography, whatever, Joseph Quinn, you got to get the bubble butt.
Yeah.
Bubble butt.
I feel like it's such a shame because
he's fucking adorable.
Well, that and just for his character that he didn't do anything wrong, but he'll forever be attached to that. He probably did had something to do with this, you know?
Everybody's going to blame him for it.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Honestly, I mean, R.I.P. Chrissy, but now that, the town is cracked open,
yeah,
I highly doubt that very many people are concerned about finding her killer anymore.
Oh, yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, when his,
When the
like
when
if
the
he was,
dust
as if he was
settles.
a real person. Like if anybody mentions his name, it's like always going to be tied back to that and the beginning of that, you know.
Yeah, not for me though.
But well, yeah, exactly.
It'll be tied to my most
I'm
recent,
acting like Hawkins is a real fucking place.
my recent dreams.
Yeah.
Maybe it is a real place. I don't know. I've never been to Indiana.
But, well, that Hawkins is not real.
Well, inspiration for Eddie's character was one of the most famous prolonged mass media scares in history. I'm talking of Satanic Panic.
Oh, really?
And who could it have been? Let's see, I don't know. Let me think. Let me knock on Mr. Noggin. Who could trick us into doing that? Could have been Satan.
I don't know if you remember that Dana Carvey character.
Oh, yeah.
Church lady.
Oh, yes.
Satan. Anyways, it was characterized at its peak by fearful media depictions of godless teenagers and the deviant music and media they consumed. This, in turn, led to a number of high-profile criminal cases that were heavily influenced by all the social hysteria. Most people associated the Satanic Panic with so-called satanic ritual abuse, a rash of false allegations made against daycare centers in the 80s, and with the case of the West Memphis 3 in the 90s, in which 3 teenagers whose wrongful conviction on homicide charges was based on little more than suspicion over their goth lifestyles. So that is where Eddie's inspiration came from. They wanted to incorporate the Satanic Panic into season 4. But I will tell you this. I think we're going to see Eddie again.
Like he's not dead?
Well,
or like we're just
maybe he's dead, and maybe Vecna is going to use his image to torture Dustin, Mike, and Lucas, just like Billy with Max. Like Billy died at the end of season 3, but we saw Billy multiple times.
I could see that too, because he's already like people have responded in such a way to him, so I could totally see that happening. But yeah, I would want the Eddie back.
Well, one of my favorite theories that I've seen, which I'm not a D&D expert, but I've seen this multiple places, so I'm not going to credit it to one person or the other because I don't know who came up with this theory first. So apologies if it was you, but I've seen it in multiple places. Was it you? Was it you?
No.
But my favorite theory is that Eddie will literally come back from the dead. And they kind of, you know how at the beginning of season 4, it shows Eddie and the Hellfire Club, and they're playing a game of D&D, and Erica comes in and subs for Lucas.
Also, Erica's moment
Erica
there.
Queen.
Yes.
I love her.
I was like smiling. I was like, hell yes.
I was so happy we got so much more of her in volume 2, because when we got like halfway through volume 1, I was like, where is Erica?
Yeah.
I thought, because that first episode, she was there. I thought she was going to be a part of it. And I was like, where is she?
Mm-hmm.
Where is she? Which I was asking, where's Mr. Clark as well? And then I realized, oh, they're at a different school. So that's why there's no Mr. Clark. But, you know, now that everything's split open, hopefully Mr. Clark will get to be a part of the group.
Hey.
Fingers crossed.
True.
But yeah, I was so happy whenever
Me
Erica
too.
was more part of the story. I love her.
Like the whole scene of her walking down the hall with the two of them and the flag on. And then she just shows up and she's just like, oh,
yeah.
I loved it.
And when the whole like back and forth between her and Eddie.
Yes.
Where he's like, what are you? What does he call her? A level 1 something. I don't remember. And she's like, I'm a level blah, 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 blah. And
then by the end, he's like, respect.
Yes. I love it.
I did love at, toward the end when she had that moment with Lucas where he was like, oh, you never show up to, or you're at our little
She's
games.
like, you're my brother.
Like, even though you're my loser brother, you're my brother.
Yes.
Because like, that's what, I mean.
Well, and
that's
how
what siblings are.
And
like,
how
you give
he was
each other shit, but you're
for her.
always going to be down for that person. You know?
Well, most of the time.
True. Well, yeah, true.
Definitely in our instance. But and whenever he was holding Max and he was like screaming for her.
Oh my God,
like,
I know.
Oh, my heart.
Oh, and like she, like when she ran up there, she like instantly knew and just like took off.
But anyways, in that D&D game, no worries. In that D&D game, Eddie like tells them, you know, oh, Cass has killed Vecna. Well, probably like me, you just kind of glossed over that he's just setting up the D&D game. Whatever. This isn't important, right? Yeah. But as we know, Stranger Things villains are typically named after D&D characters. And the D&D character named Cass was turned into a vampire after betraying Vecna. And we do have to say, even though the Duffer Brothers have said, oh, Eddie is dead, he was bit to death by a bunch of bats.
You know I love vampires.
So
now I am excited.
Which, I mean, this is a theory. I don't want to get you excited.
Did you know that I like vampires? I said that and then I was like, maybe she doesn't know.
I do know.
Okay.
I do know. There is a maybe
but then,
Eddie is going to come back as like this Cass character. So it's a stretch.
Yeah.
Because in D&D, apparently Cass was like Vecna's first lieutenant, and he betrayed Vecna and then turned into a vampire, which that obviously doesn't line up. But they aren't necessarily following exact D&D storylines anyway. So that's a theory that I've seen, that Eddie is actually going to come back as Cass. I think it's more likely that Vecna will use Eddie to torment.
Yeah. Well, but either way, that
the
bums
Hellfire
me out because like
Club.
Eddie and the person he was is still
Gone.
You know? And that's what you loved about him, you know?
Yeah. Well, like Dustin said, Eddie was Eddie until the end.
Oh my God. That part where he's talking to his uncle, I was like,
oh my gosh, I bawled my eyes out like so much in the last episode. It was so sad. So I love that theory. I don't know how realistic it is that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I love that theory.
And let me say, like, I'm saying, like, I'm so bummed out that he won't be. I'll be happy that the actor's back in whatever capacity, but I just did really love his character.
So many people did.
Yeah.
It was such a good character. Yeah. And such a great story arc. And honestly, his death was not necessary. That's the thing that upsets me the most.
Exactly.
Is that his death was unnecessary. And then as far as, like, I understand they had to wrap it up, but I don't like that we didn't get to see Steve, Nancy, and Robin come and find Dustin with Eddie.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't get to see that.
Same thing, yes.
We didn't get to see them having to make the decision to leave Eddie behind.
Exactly, yeah.
We didn't get to see Dustin tell Mike and Lucas that Eddie is dead, that Eddie sacrificed himself to save all of us. Like, there was a lot of stuff that was left out of that last episode that I hope they're going to show us in flashbacks or something. Because I wanted to see that stuff.
Yeah. Me too.
And I'm really upset that they cut it out.
Well, and he kind of deserved that stuff too.
I agree.
You know?
He deserved to have that stuff happen.
Because I was even thinking, I was like, you drag that body back, boy, and throw him up in that hole.
Just throw him up as hard as you can.
I was like, you take him with you.
Y'all can make a new sheet.
Even though you're limping yourself, like you just find a way.
Dustin. It's his little disorder. Like, that definitely didn't help him with his landing. Bless his heart. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff regarding having closure with Eddie that we did not get. Yeah. I'm happy we got the scene with Dustin and the uncle. That was so moving. And Gatton did so well.
He's a good actor. He's a good little actor.
I mean, just beautifully. And the uncle did. I don't know who the actor is that played the uncle. They did beautifully together. But there was a lot of stuff we didn't get that I feel like should have been there. So that kind of upset me. But I do love that theory.
Me too. I'd be excited about that.
So also, speaking of goth or punk kids in the 80s, since we're talking about Eddie, I know there were a lot of people, which we kind of touched on this in our last episode. There were a lot of people who disliked the season 2 episode when Eleven ran away and found her sister Collie. Because it seemed like this weird
very out of place.
One-off. Yeah. I personally loved that episode.
Oh, I did too. Well, I liked that. I mean, I liked every season. I haven't had a problem with any of them, but I do remember thinking like, this is like kind of really out of place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people were saying, is that they were complaining, well, that just felt out of place. And there were people who didn't like it because of that. I'm I loved it. Yeah. I loved that episode. I was disappointed with it. We didn't get more of like something come back to it, you know?
Why do we get these great characters and then you take them away
right?
from us?
Quit doing this, Duffer Brothers. And that, I really thought we were going to see Callie in season 4.
Yes.
And I wanted her to come in and shamelessly flirt with Robin and just be like, hey girl, like God. Just shame, because Robin deserves it. Robin deserves to just be hit on.
Oh, I agree.
And Callie is beautiful.
Where would she? I was expecting her to be in the lineup at the place.
in the flashbacks.
Yeah, in the medical suit.
Yeah.
Why can't I talk? What is that called?
medical
suit? Oh my God.
In the lab. In the lab
where she's in the gown, the hospital gown.
Yeah, which in season 2, like I said, they tell us that Callie left at some point.
She would have had to have been young.
But when did she leave? How did she leave?
And she was 8, right?
And she was number 8. I don't know how old she was when she got out, but she was number 8.
Well, and they ranged, obviously, if you saw the lineup. Yeah, but still.
But
I was hoping, to me, like we talked about continuity-wise, like, I would think she should have been there, or somebody, her younger version or whatever.
Which I was thinking that before season 4 even started. I was like, Callie's going to come back, and she's going to hit on Robin, and this is going to be wonderful. And of course, that didn't happen.
Hey, we could still get
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Which this whole Vicky character is coming to play now.
Yeah.
Which, nothing against Vicky. I don't have a problem with her, but it's just, I really had my heart set on Callie coming in and flirting with Robin and them having some sort of cute back and forth thing. And we got, like, Eddie, I felt like, was flirting with Steve half the time in this show.
Totally.
I mean, which I loved. Don't get me wrong.
God,
I adored it.
Yeah.
But I want that with Callie and Robin, too.
Yeah.
Like, I want something like that.
I thought that was so cute. And also, another reason I loved Eddie's character was, like, he was just so transparent, like, telling him he was a little jealous that Dustin, like, held him up to such a high standard and everything.
Yes.
And then, like, how toward the end, he, like, just grabbed him and was like, never change. I was like, sweet Jesus, why didn't I have an Eddie in my life when I was that little?
I need an Eddie in my life.
But yeah. And, you know, I don't know if you know, but I've got a soft spot for Steve Harrington and his Babysitters Club. But
he's so cute.
I thought it was cute this season. This season made him a little softer. You know, even more so. Like, he's so good with the kids or whatever, but, like,
and he's matured so much.
A little vulnerable with her and everything, all that.
Yes. And I loved the scene where they're on the lake and he takes his shirt off and Dustin's talking about him being hairy and the lady's like, and Max comes over and is like, let me see. And it's just quiet, just staring through the binoculars. I was like, we are all Max.
Oh, yeah.
Right now. We are all like, just let us see. Let us see.
Mm-hmm.
So coming back to Callie, I was also convinced, she's going to come back. Because when they were showing more of Vecna, his powers seem to be like a combination of 11 and 8s, because obviously he can move shit. Obviously he can, like, go into other people's minds, but he can also make you see what he wants you to see. Yeah. We haven't seen 11 do anything like that, but 8 could. 8 could make you see what she wanted you to see. And so I surely thought we were going to get Callie before the end of the season because of that. I was like, his powers are like 8s and 11s. So surely she's going to come back.
Yeah.
You know, that didn't happen. And then the other thing, Callie was, like, saying to 11 back in season 2 when she came and found her, she was saying a lot of the same things as far as, like, coaching her how to really get into her powers. She was saying the same stuff that Henry did, where she was saying, think of a memory that makes you both sad and angry. She said that.
Yeah.
And then he said that to her again this season. So now I'm wondering, is the reason why Callie escaped because Henry tried to use her first?
Probably. It sounds like it.
And she got out and didn't help him?
Ooh, I bet you're totally right. That would make sense. And then that's why he honed in on,
because she's obviously a little older than 11.
Yeah. That would make total sense.
So I'm like, she was saying this exact same stuff that Henry was saying. So did Henry try to help Callie first and use Callie first? And she just got out? Because I don't think that they've told us how 8 left the lab or why. I don't think they've addressed that.
No.
So that was something that kind of crossed my mind. Obviously, I'm not the only one who's thought about Callie, because this is my second favorite theory that I've seen. So in D&D, a crit hit or a critical hit is when you roll a D20 to make an attack. So that's what Erica did in the D&D game at the beginning of season 4. She rolled a 20 and it was a crit hit. That was that they kind of let us know, crit hit. So again, I'm thinking like they're kind of referencing back and forth. So what does this have to do with Stranger Things and Callie? Well, Callie is number
8.
And then we have 11. So add those two together and we're at 19, which leaves us with what? 1. Which leaves us with 1 in order to get to a crit hit. right?
Oh, okay.
Which
Did you figure this all out yourself, or did you read up on it?
no, like I said, these are theories that I've seen, but I've
Okay, 'cause
seen
I
them
was
in
like,
multiple places
good
from
for
multiple
you.
people. So I would totally give credit to whoever came up with it, but I don't know who came up with it first because
Okay.
I've seen this in multiple places.
Well, I could see people deep into D&D.
Yeah, I am not a D&D
correlating it all,
person.
yeah,
So I had no idea who Cass was.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a crit hit was. I did not come up with this stuff. Now, I did think on my own that Callie was going to show up this season because
Yeah.
of Vecna's powers. I didn't see that anywhere else, that anybody else has said that Vecna's powers seem to be a combination of Callie and 11. That's mine.
Okay.
To my knowledge, but the crit hit and the cast thing is stuff that I've seen.
Okay.
I did not come up with that at all. So this next part is something that I have not seen other people say, though. This is me.
Okay.
So the obvious one to make it 20, right, would be Henry/1/Vecna, which would make sense because they are all named the numbers and whatever. But I don't think that he's the one that's going to make 20.
Okay.
Because I can't help wondering, like, why would he contribute to his own demise?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if the crit hit 1 is not Vecna, who else could it be? They made it really fucking clear at the end of the season that Will is psychically connected. Is that psychically? That's the word.
Yeah,
psychically connected to Vecna.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Will and Callie and 11, the three of them are going to work together and defeat Vecna.
Oh, okay.
Henry/1/whatever.
Okay.
So that's my thought. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, Will's going to get possessed by Vecna in season 5 because they're still connected, which makes sense. Don't get me wrong, but give the kid a fucking break.
Right.
Give
Damn.
Will a break. Okay. Season 1, he got lost in the Upside Down, nearly died. Season 2, he got possessed by the Mind Flayer. Season 3, all he wanted to do was play D&D, and his friends refused because they were girl crazy. And as soon as he lives out to California, what do? Join another D&D club without him. Like, Will needs a win.
Right?
Okay. So I am campaigning for Will to be the one that makes Callie's 8 and 11 add up to 20 to where it's a critical hit and they take out Vecna.
Okay.
That's what I hope for.
I just hope he gets a new haircut. In the process.
I mean, all of it's on top of the fact that he's a queer kid just trying to figure out
I know.
life and figuring out what he likes and figuring out what he wants. Like,
That talk with his brother.
oh my God, yes.
Oh my God.
I mean, and in the 80s, nonetheless.
Yeah, what a good brother.
I mean,
Big
just,
brother.
he deserves a win.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
I'm just hoping that I don't want him to get possessed again.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want him to be a critical piece to helping Callie and 11 defeat Vecna. That's what I'm hoping for. And honestly, if anyone's going to get possessed by Vecna, I think it's going to be Max.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At this point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dr. Brenner said, Vecna consumes his victims.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, whenever 11 tried to go find Max in the void and there was nothing there, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And I can't remember which season was it. I think it was season 3 where where Berly is possessed by the Mind Flayer and it like shows her trying to save the lifeguard girl.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the lifeguard girl like get sucked down into the void, like screaming and reaching. I'm like, okay, so if that's what's happened with Max and Max is gone, like, I hate to say this, especially at this day and age, but she's just a vessel sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And if Vecna has consumed her consciousness, hopefully if he goes and possesses Max, like Max can find her way back,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
back home, I guess, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
after he's defeated. So those are my two favorite theories that I've seen is the Cass theory that Eddie was going to come back as a vampire and the crit hit 20 theory.
Okay.
I liked those.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like a toxic fan person and be devastated if what I think should happen doesn't happen.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
whatever. But I do think Callie has to come back.
Yeah.
We have to see her again in season 5.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like just, I feel like I keep talking about continuity, but like it would make more sense than her just being in that one season alone and that's it. You know, when she didn't die or anything. So it's like, why not bring her back?
And she obviously developed an emotional attachment because if I remember correctly, she was like crying whenever 11 left and everything.
Yeah.
And now that the Upside Down's like opened up, it's a perfect time for her to come back.
Yeah.
I've already said it. I also hope that Mr. Clark comes back. But in addition to Mr. Clark, I hope that some of the other adults like get looped into what's actually happening so they can come join the fight in season 5.
Oh, okay.
Like all the other parents.
Yeah.
You know, Dustin's mom.
Dustin's mom's funny.
Mike and Nancy's parents. The Sinclair's parents. We've hardly seen them.
Yeah.
You know, Joyce and Hopper are in the fight. Like, when are these other adults going to get looped in as to what's actually happening? Like, once monsters start coming out of the into Hawkins, which is bound to happen, what are you going to tell them? Like, are they just going to get them on a bus and ship them out of town? I mean, come on. And I like the new sheriff too. I want him to get into the fight.
Yeah. I thought
like
it was
him.
funny when Mike's mom was like, "You're not going to college. You're just
Yeah.
gonna stay right here."
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, she's been pretty consistent throughout the whole series as a character. I mean, like, let them join the fight. Let them come into it.
She's got fabulous hair.
I mean,
fabulous 80s hair.
Yes. And imagine, like, with Mr. Clark, the stuff that they could make. Like, Dustin's made a lot of stuff, but Mr. Clark has put together a lot of things, and he's really smart. Imagine, like, him and Dustin working together.
Yeah.
Making something. I want it. I want it. Do it.
Hopefully there's not another pandemic on the way so that we will get the season 5.
I don't know, the monkeypox.
A little sooner than we got season 4.
Well, the earliest we're supposed to get season 5 right now is 2024.
Oh,
like they're taking this month off and they're going back to the writer's room, like just to write everything in August.
How are they going to do that?
So they're not even going to start filming. And I hope, like, honestly, I would rather them just like get in there and start recording everything as quickly as. Don't do a time jump.
Exactly.
I don't want them to do it.
They've already said that.
I'll just ignore it, that they're a little older, that they're a little bigger. I can ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't do a time jump. Y'all literally left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
I don't want to see another. The 6-month time jump that happened between season 3 and season 4 was not that bad. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see another 6-month time jump where, like, all of a sudden there's just monsters everywhere in Hawkins or something.
Right.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Bring back Mr. Clark, though. Oh, the last thing I wanted to talk about, which could totally be nothing, but it's something that just jumped out to me and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. So Dr. Owens, played by Paul Reiser. Is it Reiser or Reiser?
I don't know. Reiser.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Whenever, like, the military went to his house this season and they were, like, going through and taking a bunch of stuff, his wife was like, why are they taking our kids' science experiments? Mm-hmm. And so I, like, looked up, like, what's the son's name? And the son's name's Peter. And so I'm like, is Peter Owens going to be relevant to this story? Like, why were they taking his science experiments? Right. Who is Peter Owens? Is he going to be important?
Probably.
But anyway, I just thought it was odd of all the things to include. Like, why would she not just be like, why are you taking everything? Like, why is it specifically referencing their son?
Yeah.
Could go nowhere. Could have just been a throwaway line, but it stuck out to me.
Yeah. Do you think Dr. Brenner's really dead?
I think he's going to be really dead this time. Okay. I don't think they're going to do a second resurrection.
Okay.
I think Dr. Owens is still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Because we saw him handcuffed and the military coming in, and we didn't really see what happened to him. But I think he's still going to be alive.
Well, it would make sense if Peter Owens was like, you know, they're taking his high school science experiments or some bullshit like that. It'd make sense if he came in and worked with his dad on it all, you know?
Yeah.
To take Brenner's place.
Yeah, if he came in to help.
Yeah.
And then back to, like, the lady, I don't know her name, but the lady that Dr. Owens, like, called to assist, and she, like, went and saved 11 from the cops, and like, she's who helped get Hopper and Joyce and Murray, which I love Murray.
Oh, me too.
I love Murray.
Yeah, me too.
Oh my God, I love him so much. Wonderful character.
Yeah.
I adore Murray. But anyway, the government lady, that was such a missed opportunity to bring in another person from, like, the 80s or 90s. Like, they brought in Matthew Modine, Paul Reiser, Carrie Elwes. whatever his name is, last season was like the mayor. Oh, no, that wasn't last season. That was season 2, I think, actually. But anyways, you know who I'm talking about. Like, they've been bringing in these 80s and 90s actors, and like, I don't know who this woman is, and maybe she is somebody, and I just don't recognize her. But
I don't think I recognize her. I mean, she could be somebody. I mean, that we just don't
recognize. Maybe she's more from the 80s, and because we were like
babies.
We were babies in the 80s, so maybe it's just like somebody we don't recognize because of that. But if she's somebody I don't recognize. So maybe it wasn't a missed opportunity. Maybe I just don't know who she is.
Right. Well,
but if she's not, that was a missed opportunity. Like, why are you bringing back all these people from the 80s and 90s, and the only female that you've brought back who was popular in the 80s or 90s, predominantly the 90s, was Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
Who kills it in this role.
Yeah.
Don't get me
so
wrong.
Good.
Love her. But you bring in another female character, you had an opportunity to bring in somebody else. Like somebody from, was an 80s show. Like Saved by the Bell is the only thing I think of. But I don't know that was actually 80s. That might have been more 90s.
I feel like it's more 90s, but I could be wrong.
But anyway.
My timeline's bad.
Oh, well. Those are all my thoughts on the show.
I like it.
And the theories that I've seen, which may or may not come to pass. We shall see.
Yep.
So to close out the episode, I have a quote from our beloved Eddie Munson. It's forced conformity that's killing the kids. That's the real monster.
Cheers.
Cheers to the freaks and weirdos of the world. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Tipsy Exchange.
Want to hear more? Please leave a review, then visit thetipsyexchange.com to sign up for emails.
You can also follow us on your preferred listening apps, as well as Twitter or Instagram.
Until next time,
Cheers.